this World Fair. I got some pictures of that, and this World Fair was so crazy. I mean, we got to think. So Disneyland is very popular, right, everybody? 13 million people go there in 6 months. Well, over there in Chicago, they had 27 million people go to this World Fair. Could you imagine all of these people all together in that short amount of time? They created a lot of money to rebuild their city. And when we dove into that rabbit hole, these buildings that were made, like this here, these buildings that were made were actually made of plaster. So, and Brett and I are in construction. We know what plaster is. It'd be very easy to create a mold and keep creating because you have a mold now. Lightweight, you can throw them up pretty quick. This event was never made to stay. It was made for destruction later on after they get the money that they were going after. And it worked because they had the first, they had the first Ferris wheel. So these were great attractions. You had Nikola Tesla there with showing electricity. You had all of these cool things, yogis coming and demonstrating, healing and so forth. You had all this cool science. And how did 27, we're talking about 27 million people coming through here to see these structures. And then later on, they demolished them because they were made of plaster. And we have huge buildings and stuff, and some of them they kept. Some of them were made, strongly enough to where they kept. But 1893, how did 27 million people hear about the World Fair? How did they hear about that, Brady boy?
Well, I thought it's just popped in my head, and I saw the one you said. Some of them they did keep, and they were built unbelievably. And I'm seeing, I'm just, what comes to me then was a cyclops, a huge cyclops. But think about this back then. There isn't this TV, there isn't this stuff like this, and these people are coming here. 27 million consciousness units are going there, and like you say, they make it out of plaster. This huge building, and there are 22 million people see this with their own freaking eyes, and they demolish it. Then in other places in America, there's buildings they didn't demolish because the architecture and the construction is unbelievable. So could this be a mass programming that all these people go and see it, and then when they see them in these other towns, they don't think twice about it? And not only is it being for the 22 or 27 million people that saw it, that is then placed into the collective consciousness. So even with that many consciousness people back then, I don't know how many people were in America. Think about this, all that energy coming together, that would have been in the collective. So someone that didn't even go there would then see that building and accept it. That could be one of the ways they indoctrinated these buildings into the way. So they did create it. Now, plaster, like you say, it's very simple to do that. It's very easy. It would take some time and it would take some craft, no denying that, but could be done. But then some of these other ones that weren't demolished, and they're still standing today. I saw some of them mind-blowing, my friend. And you're talking pillars all the way up, and these aren't plaster. These are stone. So maybe that's how they done it,